So these ants, this article is wild because the picture is of this, like, an actual photo of a bunch of little ants surrounded by, like, other ant heads. And it looks wild. And I wanted to steer clear of death, but, like, it didn't work this time because, I'm always talking about it.
Why would you want to do that?
Because I wanted to challenge myself.
Talking about you're like, so I'll have headless ants.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, this is interesting. It's about nature. No, it's all horrible.
Death in nature.
The article begins with these scientists who are trying to figure, like, 50. Let's go back to 1950, right?
Okay.
And these scientists start observing these ants. They're called headhunter ants, and yeah,
a little bit on the nose there, but sure,
a little bit. And they start noticing that these ants in their nests have a ton of just severed heads. And in the 50s, they're like, huh? Like, they couldn't figure it out. And so they just kind of, like, didn't look into it anymore because they were like, I don't understand this. Until, like, 2015, when...
That's a long time to just be like, I'm going to look the other way while ants are committing ant genocide, like decapitating other ants.
Oh, yeah. Well, they'd still observe it, but they couldn't figure out why or how, because the thing about headhunter ants is that they're tiny and they are not predators. They're just little ants. And the ants they target, the ants whose heads they like, are these bigger ants called trapjaw ants. And they're like these... Yeah, dude, their jaws, they have mandibles that are massive and they can, like, crack another bug to pieces or whatever. And and they'll do this thing where they'll bite something and then use their mandibles to launch themselves away from the enemy. So, like, I saw this insane video of what looked like a sarlacc pit, and there was, like, something... There was a little guy in it. I'm
impressed with that reference, by the way. I'm just going to weigh in real quick. I'm so proud of you.
Do you think I haven't seen it?
You just made a movie reference. You never make movie references in anything ever.
Okay.
And you made us, and Sarlacc's a pretty
true.
Specific reference.
It is. Anyway, looks like a little sarlacc pit. This little creature who lives in it. They're called ant lions, and I don't know what they are because I didn't really look into it. But they're other insects that make these, like, weird quicksand sarlacc pits to, like, pull ants into. Trapjaw ants are like, yeah, well, we'll do better than that, and they go in head first, and they like latch onto these things and launch right back out. So they're like these really buff, super hardcore ants who use their teeth to, like, murder.
Hold on, let's back up here. So are they is it like they're doing like a handstand with their mandibles into this pit and then just jumping off like that?
Absolutely. And if you think that's an exaggeration, it's not.
I'm saying, why are they even doing? Are they killing them in the process, or they're just like, I'm gonna go jump inside of certain doom for fun?
I definitely made it seem like they did it on purpose, but no, they fell into it. So if they find themselves falling into this, like, ant pit or whatever it is,
gotcha.
Then they'll be like, they'll move themselves so they're like head first. So I'm getting you introduced to these three ants we're going to be talking about. So there's the trapjaw ants, there's the headhunter ants, and there's the kidnapper ants. And all three of these ants...
I wonder what that one does.
No, it just hangs out. So all three of these ants are going to come into play. So headhunter ant is small and normal. And then the kidnapper ant I'll get to, but not quite yet.
Okay.
So all three of these ants live in Florida. This story takes place in Florida because...
Of course, this is
that's
Florida.
where all terrifying and confusing things are from, or live in, you know?
Yeah, there's an ant newspaper that's like Florida Man or like, right, but it's Florida Ant does blank. Yeah, Ant-Man.
Florida Ant does blank,
Ant.
yeah.
Yeah, they go on their ant Google and they're like, just type in your birthday in Florida Ant and then see what happens.
Florida Ant lights house on fire with nobody in it. Yeah. So what these scientists couldn't figure out for the longest time is how these tiny, not predatory ants were completely, like, taking out these predatory ants, the trapjaws. And they would do it so quickly they couldn't see. So they were like, so they come into contact, and then the next thing we know, they're carrying the headhunter ants are, like, carrying the trapjaw ants back to their nest, dead. And they couldn't figure it out.
Straight up French Revolution style. They've got like an ant guillotine.
The streets of Paris ran red with ant blood, and they couldn't figure out how.
Watch out, Jeff Bezos. I know he just moved to Florida. Those ant guillotines are going to basically be coming for you. Yeah, for tax purposes.
They are anti-capitalist.
I think he's from there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, ants are very much about, Anyway, sorry, I just derailed that,
Bugs
but
life.
I just imagined a bunch of ants showing up with their mini guillotine, showing up outside of Jeff Bezos' giant
Florida
mansion.
house. But if there's enough of them, they could carry him off. That was like a recurring dream I used to have. I used to have a recurring dream that ants would come
decapitating
in and
Jeff Bezos.
Oh, no, that's my other recurring dream. But this one was like ants would come in and carry my furniture away, and I couldn't stop them.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway.
Like, was that a bad thing? Like, was that a fear, or you just thought it was like a random thing that would happen?
It was just like a thing, and in my dream I'd be like, "Well, hey, what do you give back?"
But it wasn't like you were like it wasn't like a fear of ants. It was just sort of like ants are funny and they do this weird thing.
And they're taking my furniture. Anyway,
that's funny. You're like, what are you going to do with it? You can't sit on that chair. You're silly.
Exactly. That was the kind of thing it was. It was like, hold on, that's a couch.
Hold on there.
Anyway, I derailed myself. So
I love this. I love ants. I was obsessed with ants from the time I was a kid. I talk about the Sim Ant game all the time. I felt like maybe it was the other show. No, I do talk about Sim Ant all the time. I love it, and ant stories make me really excited.
Oh, you're gonna love this then.
Ant stories get me really stoked. Yeah, I was like, I'm really into it. Keep going.
Okay, so these trap jaw ants. So no one can figure out how these like tiny, seemingly prey style ants are killing these predator ants.
Yeah,
and recently, a guy from Florida named Adrian Smith started to figure it out. And among other scientists as well, but he's kind of like the head. He's the head of the Evolutionary Biology and Behavior Lab at North Carolina's Museum of Natural Sciences. So he's like an ant scientist, which I kind of dove into the world. Oh, this guy's amazing. I want to meet him. Yeah. The way he talks about ants. Like... So
if you're listening to this podcast, please come join us for an episode where you could talk about ants.
Tell us the way he says things. Okay, listen to this. He sounds like one of us. He heard about this study they did back in the 50s and how they couldn't figure it out. And he's like, oh, I'm going to figure this out. And he said he just got obsessed with it. And he, quote, he says, they're one of the most badass ants I know of. And that's why I wanted to study them. They decorate their nests with skulls. A lot of other ants do cool things, but these are special to me. These are special to me because they're from Florida and I'm from Florida. Weird shit happens in Florida.
This guy is metal as shit. I love him.
Same. He's amazing. And this is how I read this interview with him, and this is how he just talks about ants. He's just like, yeah, they're insane. I'm obsessed. So Adrian, he sets up these high-speed cameras. He like creates an ant nest, simulates an ant, how it would be in nature. And he is able to observe them in slow motion. And he realizes what happens is that they're so fast that the human eye can't tell what they're doing until we've slowed it down. So here's what happens. So when a headhunter ant gets near a trapjaw ant, it high speed squirts acid out of a nozzle on its abdomen and paralyzes it. Yes.
What?
Your face? Yes. He has it's like an acid gun built into his body.
Amazing.
I know. And so it paralyzes them. And see these I keep saying acid nozzle. I don't think that's what they're called, obviously.
I like it. No, we've decided it's acid nozzle from now on.
It's an acid nozzle.
Or you can acid nipple if you want. Just squirting.
I mean, no, it like shoots. So these acid nozzles are on other types of ants in the same genus or whatever. Yeah. But only headhunter ants use them for attack. The other ones use them as defense. But so he was like, what? Why are these things actually actively going and attacking these bigger things? And that was the next question. He's like, okay, so now we know how they do it. But why? So what would happen next is that the headhunter ant would carry the trapjaw ant back to their nest, and over the course of a day would dismember it, including decapitating it. And the decapitation was important because that was the thing they didn't eat. They'd eat the rest of it, but not the head. And their
whole
nest,
genus of Jeffrey Dahmers, basically,
serial
but as
killers. Dude, serial killers.
They keep the head in the fridge while they ate the rest of the body parts.
For real. For real.